Hey guys, my name is Sky McLean, and my husband and I paid off a little over $57,000 in debt, which consisted of student loans, a car payment, credit cards, medical bills, personal loans. We were pretty normal and had lots of normalized debt, but we paid all of that off in 22 months. And I'm here today to share with you 5 ways to help you guys tackle your debt so you can experience the financial freedom that we have found. The first step that we took in this process is what I like to call baby step 0. And what that means is you have to have your I have had it moment. You have to have that moment where you are so tired of being financially strapped and disorganized and fighting about money and feeling terrified that you can't pay your bills or you can't buy groceries or you can't put gas in the car because you have credit card payments that you have to make, or you have collectors calling you who want money from you. You have to have that moment and that line in the sand situation where you're like, this is it. I am done. I am not accumulating any more debt, and I am moving forward from here with this new attitude. So that is step number 1, is to really tackle baby step 0 and decide you are not going to take on any more debt at all, ever again in your whole life, and that from this point forward, you are going to focus on the future and your future financial goals. Once you have had that mindset shift of baby step 0, then the next thing that I want you to start working on is communication with your spouse. Finances were something that my husband and I never talked about until we started our financial journey and our debt-free journey. And it caused a lot of, as you can imagine, it caused a lot of stress in our marriage. Money fights and money problems are one of the number 1 reasons that people get divorced. And communicating about our money and sitting down and talking about our financial goals together and what we wanted to do with our money, both for us and for our son, it was a game changer for us. So what I suggest that you guys do is, if you have this issue with your spouse, hook arms with them. Have a real, honest conversation about your money and what makes you feel guilty and what makes you feel angry and what makes you feel shame, and kind of put it all out there. And it's a little scary, I'm not going to lie. But once you have that conversation and you hook arms with your spouse and you move forward and you leave the past financial transgressions in the past and you focus on your future goals, it will change the way that money affects your marriage. And your talk about money will filter into every other part of your life, and it will start to change the way you grocery shop. It will start to change the way you plan for vacations. Every decision that you make as a spouse, as a couple, will have a financial undertone to it, and it will open up so many doors for you to make plans together in the future if you learn how to communicate, find a common language that works for you, and move forward together as a married couple with your money. And the next thing I want to talk about is budgeting. I know that budgeting is kind of a 4-letter word and everybody hates it because they feel like it's restrictive and it makes it feel like you can't do anything with your money. So what I first want to do is, we're not going to call it a budget. We're going to call it a cash flow plan. And all you're going to do every month, at the beginning of every month, for the rest of your life, is you're going to make a plan for the cash that's coming into your household. You get to spend it on whatever you want to spend it on, depending on what your financial goals are. But what you're going to do is, at the beginning of every month, you're going to write down every expense that you anticipate that month. Your 4 walls, meaning your mortgage or your rent payment, utilities, your transportation costs, gas, insurance, car payment if you still have one, and clothing and food. Those are the things that you have to pay for every single month. And then you're also going to write in all of your, if you have debt payments, you'll write all of those on your budget, and you'll write all the things that you need. Like, sometimes my son needs lunch money. Sometimes we need to buy some new clothes. Sometimes we have to travel on the weekends, so we need to plan a little bit of extra gas money. But when you write down your income and write down all of your expenses that you anticipate that month, and add that up together and see what the total left over is, I think that it's going to shock you to find out how much money that you have left over that you've not been planning. And planned money goes so much further than money you're not taking action on and taking control of. So start budgeting and plan out where every single dollar every month is going to go. If you have $7,000 left at the end of the month and you've budgeted for all your expenses, what are you going to do with that money? If you don't make a plan for it, it's going to disappear. So make a plan, make a budget, decide where your money is going to go, and sit down with your spouse and have a budget meeting together. Talk about it together. Talk about your goals together. Talk about what you need that month. Maybe you need a little bit of extra money in your spending account because you need to buy a new pair of shoes, or maybe your husband wants to go play golf with his friends. Talk about those things and get them out in the open so that when he goes off the budget and goes and plays golf or does whatever, you're not angry with him. You're preemptively facing all these financial situations and making a plan for them rather than getting at the end of the month and saying, where did all of our money go? The way that we did it is we used our budget. We cranked down our budget to the bare minimum and just used what we had to get by. And every extra dollar we had left over at the end of the month went towards our debt payments. We started with our smallest balance and moved our way up, and we paid them off one at a time, and we made the minimum payments on everything else. This is called the debt snowball method, and it's very easy, it's very empowering and encouraging because you can see your traction happening, and it encourages you to keep moving forward. Okay, baby step 0, check. Communication, check. Budget, check. I want to tell you what really changed the game for me especially, and that was switching to cash. I was a huge fan of my debit card. I remember when I got my debit card and I felt like I was so cool and grown up because I didn't have to write a check at Sonic anymore to get a Route 44 Dr. Pepper. The problem with using cards over using cash for purchases is that you never feel the pain of that transaction. So I'm at the grocery store and I'm buying groceries. I hand the lady my card, she swipes it, or I stick it in the machine. I get my card back, put it in my purse, I get my groceries, and I leave. When you switch over to using cash, I'm at the grocery store, I have $150 worth of cash, I hand her $150, I don't get that money back. That money stays with them, and I take the groceries in exchange for that money. And that is a physical transaction that you feel inside your chest. You're like, oh, I just spent $150 on groceries. And it changes the way you spend your money. It puts limitations on you, and it gives you this, it gave me this feeling of empowerment. I remember the first time I put gas in the car with cash, and I knew that my debt payment, all of the minimum payments, all of our monthly expenses weren't affected by me getting gas. When before, I wasn't sure if I could get gas because it might bounce a payment here or there. So it gives you so much control, and it puts limits on what you can buy. So if there's a category in your budget that you typically overspend on, like eating out, clothing, entertainment, give yourself a cash budget for that, and it will help you curb your spending and help you keep your budget in check every single month too. The last step in this process is maybe the second most important. I think the first is baby step 0, where you make that line in the sand. But the last step for us was to remember that we are truly stewards of this money. My husband and I are both Christians, and we are both faithful to God's call on our lives, except that that was not represented in our bank account at all. So I want you to go look at your bank account after you watch this video and come back and leave a comment and tell me if your bank account represents what's important to you in your life. And I can tell you that ours did not. Ours was full of Taco Bell and Target and, gosh, I don't even remember. I try not to think about those days. But it was certainly not representative of where we felt our heart was as far as where we felt God was telling us that we should use our money. And so remembering that we are stewards of this gift that He has given us and managing the money that we have coming in as though it is somebody else's money really helped us be more responsible, more charitable, and more dedicated to this process. So just remember that you're managing somebody else's money, or pretend you are, even if you don't feel like you're a steward of God's money. Pretend that you're managing somebody else's finances, and you will do it differently. If you have to present a report to your boss at the end of the week and say, this is what I did with your money, are they going to be happy with how it looks when they get that report? So make sure that your bank account is representing what your priorities are, and always pretend that you are managing somebody else's money. I really hope these tips were helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them for you. I'm happy to share more of my journey. There is a link to a blog post in the caption of this video with 13 things that we did while we paid off debt that helped us stay on track. And I have tons of resources on my blog as well. So make sure you check the links in the caption. Thanks for joining me. This has been a lot of fun, and I am very honored to be here with the other amazing women that are part of this account.